Oh, sorry.
I wasn't going to say anything. I was just letting you go, man. What's up, people? How you doing? Welcome to the Rodeo Gig App Worker Roundtable, episode 6, season 4. If you know how we count very strange.
Episode 6. Okay.
It's season 4, episode 6.
Okay. All right.
Yep. But see, there was no season 3. Season 1 was 120 some episodes.
Yeah.
There's nothing to figure out there, guys. There's no Pandora's box or anything you need to try and figure out. That's not going to happen. But we got, before I even get to who's here tonight, happy birthday, Cheyenne.
Happy birthday, Cheyenne.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Miss Gig Work Mama. But we got Kim's Side Money Plans here tonight. We got Acacia, and we got Tom Kelly, and yeah, we got all you guys, or will here soon. Let's see who's in here. Got seeing some people, but Travelers chatting. Rest of you guys, if you're working, just shout out a hello or whatever. I'm just getting home too because it's been crazy here. So you guys know, first of all, I should probably say this, that you guys know that I got to 50%. I fluttered back and forth. I'm back over it again. It really doesn't do anything for me. I have not got to Kim's level of a platinum to see if that does any different, but I play the same way I play. I'm not going to try and get there. But lately, something like the last week, something else changed with DoorDash here. It's not, but it's pink or red all the time because of our new transparent market. I honestly believe this is another DoorDash. Let's try this, because now it's just pink or red all the time, 24/7, and you could just dash now anytime, no matter your level. But then when I do it, there's no business at all. None.
Do you think that they're purposely trying to oversaturate the market to compensate people having full transparency?
But anybody that comes in will still have full transparency. I don't know I don't know, because if it's me, I would want you to have I would want Kim to have full transparency, because I don't want to lose Kim to some newbie that doesn't know what they're doing, that's still going to get it anyway.
But
you see what I'm saying? Like,
people. That's the whole thing, though. They want the new people. They want the new people because new people don't know any better and will take whatever a DoorDash sends
but
them.
the new people will see it all right there, like we never did.
Right, but they don't. If you're new, you don't know about declines. You don't know about cancellation rates. You don't know anything about DoorDash. You're just taking orders, which is what they want. So,
right.
I mean, I guess to me, it's weird, because now it's like, if you are a top dasher, like or whatever, like a platinum, like Kim, or any of the people who have always been there and always done what they need to stay there for that ability to dash now. Well, now that's fully just gone here, unless something's going to change here real quick. Like, it's just gone. Like, now there's no reason. It'd be like you opening up the app and it's saying it's busy every day, every minute, Kim.
At that point, I don't know. I mean, I get. Only thing, honestly,
right? When do they pull it?
Is Dash now, but there is an upside. Like, there is definitely, just because now that I've dipped below platinum, and I know I worked it for a week without platinum, like, there's definitely a order volume difference between platinum and the other tiers and the bottom tiers. So I don't know whether that would be a good enough incentive to not be platinum.
Yeah. Let me see. Hey, Traveler. Hey, Christopher Taylor. Thank you very much for that. Hey, Derek. Derek's been jamming out some curry here in my market. We've been chatting a lot. What's up, Nico? And David Roth. Hi, you all. I'm not hearing anything. I don't know. I see Derek underneath says just you, David, but I'm not sure. Everybody else hearing everything? Put a thumbs up or whatever.
What?
But you would, because we're in the studio. I'm saying on the output side, are they not hearing something? David, push the button that says unmute. I know, David. He's another.
Turn up the volume.
Also, I need to mention this because wow, I'm almost embarrassed. I really am, because I don't care if it might sound a little political, but this does not represent a political side. I'm just blown away at the state I live in. I cannot believe that we passed that stupid ass bill that allows the state to take away your kids
I heard about
based
that.
on your pronouns, if they want a transgender, any of that. If you fighted anything, you have your kids removed that day.
Wow.
Basically,
about
not just the schools like they had been trying, but the state itself now has more right to your children than you do.
Colorado, right? You're in Colorado?
Yeah.
Yeah, take that to the Supreme Court. Let's see how long that lasts.
It doesn't matter. I'm disgusted that people on both sides of the aisle voted for this. I just don't get it. I know, I've lived here long enough to know so many people in this state. I've ran bars, all kinds of things, and I don't know anybody that would want this. So
Money.
I don't know. I don't even know where. Yeah, I know, but it's got to be like some group like the size of like the cigarette groups back in the 80s that used to shove that down your throat for a candidate. Because I mean, literally, I don't know anybody that wants it. I'm not against an adult doing it. And they even shot down I think they were going too far on what they were willing to do, which was, like make sure that they had free classes to it instead. And to me, maybe I'm too old school, but my kid is now going off to college, so I'm glad I don't have to deal with it this time. But I'm really disgusted that there are people making laws. I don't care if the money's involved. This law is so far over the top that if you want to transition at 13, you have more. You can just tell them that and part of it is the pronoun thing or your name. If you tell them that you're now not David or Bob, but now you want to be called Emily, and they call you Bob, you can go to this group and get removed from your house legally.
Wow.
For your parents not.
I mean, historically, if you look at it's the pharmaceutical industry and the medical industry. If you look at all the laws they've been able to change and influence with money and lobbying, because there were some statistics released, I think it was like last year or something, how much money each kid that transitions is actually worth, like how much money they make. That's why they have the whole affirm, like policy. Like you must affirm them, the therapist must affirm them, the parents must affirm them, the doctors must affirm them. They have to push them through to get these, no matter what side you're on, or like no matter like whether or not the kid is legitimately this would be best for them, no matter what, they push them through to make it happen, because they make so much money when they go through that process. And they have a patient for life, because you have to stay on a lot of these drugs and medications, and you go through several procedures. So it's just, there's too much money to be lost if they do not affirm or if they do not push this agenda. You know what I mean?
But see, okay, that's my problem right there. What's too much to be lost? Because they have nobody on their side. Left, right, center, independents, nobody's on their side. And I know it's for the money, but we elected you and your names are public on this file, who voted for it.
Yeah.
Like we know who voted for it.
Yeah.
And none of the people did. We don't want it. And I think that anybody, whether you have a kid or not, you can already see the dangers that could come from this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, your kid gets mad at you as a teenager and said, you're to call me this from now on. And you don't, they could go into the next day and be removed from your house.
Yeah. Well, they're trying to scare the parents into conforming. They'll just allow them. They don't want the parents to fight the kids on any of these, processes or procedures. They want the kids to have the say, because they know the kids don't have the right judgment to make the say, and the kids will just do what they're pressured to do by, the establishment. So regardless of whether or not it's good for them, and then they make the money because the kid went through with it, and the parent can't stop them now because of certain laws. You know what I mean?
The parents lost all their rights.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
You guys probably, some of you probably saw that this happened about 3 weeks ago in Illinois. and everybody was coming out of everywhere. And they were, I mean, the Capitol, all those federal buildings or city buildings, they were all like, you couldn't fit the amount of parents and kids in there. They were coming in to go, you don't ever tell my kid what's what, ever.
Yeah.
And now we're facing that. I mean, you could get on the politics side, and I don't want to go there, and everything here is so, it has to be extreme either way. This used to be, I'll be honest, this used to be a red state. Then for years it was a purple state. Now they call it a blue state. But I just see it as the most extreme state that I know of. We don't have a middle anymore. Like, I'm a registered independent voter, and I've said this before, but just in case any of you in your older life are like, well, why'd you unaffiliate yourself with any party? First of all, because I like to vote how I want to vote, but also think about it, guys. I was talking with Karen Anderson this week. We had a really good conversation. Why do you want your state to know what party you're affiliated with? That allows them to get predeterminations on who will win an election.
Yeah.
In all honesty, but for me not being a Republican or a Democrat registered, I can't vote in preliminary voting.
I didn't know
So
that.
I lose a right by being a free thinker.
Right. I think I'm also registered.
It's just pretty amazing stuff. I don't know.
I didn't know that part. I think I'm registered independent, or I think I've always tried to be. I don't remember though what came of it. Yeah. Because I didn't vote in this last election because I didn't like either of or I wasn't sure about either of the options. So I don't even know what it was like the previous election.
Yeah. I mean, we know that I'll move away from this, but we know the two-party system would like one thing. They want you to go in and just vote down ballot on their side.
Yeah.
I've never really, I mean, when I was really young, maybe, but for the past 15, 20 years, I go in and there's people I want to vote for. And sometimes they don't fall in line with a party.
Yeah.
So,
there's so many good people that could have been in office if it wasn't for the whole two-party thing.
Yeah. Anyway, I'm very disgusted with Colorado. I'm very disgusted with our governor. He's going to have to be the last one to put his name on this, and we're all sitting in shock right now. I mean, I talked to my reporter friend at the Denver Post this week, Joe Rubino, who I've actually done work with before, and I was like, is Polis going to sign this? And he's like, everybody, literally, this is an unknown, even though he is, Governor Polis is gay himself, but are you LGBTQ 13 plus gay? Because I don't think you want to put your name on that bill that says 13-year-olds and above can decide all these adult decisions in an undeveloped mind.
They still can't get a tattoo though. No tattoos for 13-year-olds, but they can,
Right. A 13, they can't go get a nose job. They can't get a tattoo. They can't do, they can't vote. They can't do a whole lot of things.
They can't see. That's funny, Tom. They can't vote, but they can have their parents removed.
Right. This is what I'm saying.
Can't even have a beer at the end of the day.
Yeah. And I don't, honestly, let's be real. Like, health is not politics. People want to politicize health, but health is not politics. Health is health. You know what I mean? And it's important to stand up for what's healthy. So
I'm just shocked. And I know what you said, Casey. I hear you that it is the groups. It is the lobbyists. It's that's bringing the money in. But no, but even all the dirt bags in politics that throughout the years have been on the side of big pharma or cigarettes. It's almost like there's enough smokers that, okay, we don't like you, but we will deal. This is like pretty much the next step's like sex trafficking. We really can't get on board with this crap. So yeah. I'm just curious. I mean, they must be paid enough where at the end of the term they plan on moving to an island and leaving the country. Because they're not going to get reelected. This is it's nuts to me. I was blown away. But anyway, we'll move on. I digress before I even got into it. Okay. So interesting stuff. Instacart is doing advertising for Uber. Walmart and Uber are teaming up for drone deliveries. And these are long-term contracts. And they're exclusive. So no DoorDash. So ads will be, I'm not exactly sure what the ads will be run for the Instacart. I have 3 right here that I can put in there. One of them about the Instacart and Uber comes right from Uber's webpage. It's uber.com newsroom, and then it's /US-CPG-digital-advertising. And then Walmart is doing these AV drones, and very hard DoorDash is getting kicked to the side. I needed to mention this because DoorDash, I mean, we're seeing like different metrics happening, and the food delivery across the country, your market is your market. So if I'm, again, you all need to realize if I'm talking, you're like, that's not true in my market. It might not be. But across the board, all of delivery is dropping. They are making more money with less volume right now, but that won't last long. But it's dropping. The need for it. Even the consumers getting to the point of, okay, I haven't been looking at these bills for a while, but you know what? I'm not going to use this anymore. Can't believe it. Because after all this time, now you go back in and look, and it's embarrassing. But now the footprint too was like 60%, and then Uber had, or 60 something, and then Uber had like 40 plus, and then Grubhub had this little sliver. But now take Grubhub out of the mix because they're like 3% of the US delivery, or not even. And between Uber Eats and DoorDash, it's getting way more Uber Eats. I mean, Uber Eats is literally taking over DoorDash. And they're doing it in ways with these. I was saying last week, watch for exclusive contracts, because they're going to be a big, big deal. I mean, we saw little ones happen here and there, and then we saw these companies still try and work with others. But if Uber's kind of starting to sideline with Instacart and sideline with Walmart, and DoorDash is falling, and I don't know, it's going to be interesting times because I already know. I talk to people all the time, every week. I'm going to give a shout out to Kyle in North Carolina, who asked me to look into who his representative is in Charlotte that the team out here might know about transparency, because things have gotten. He's been doing this since I came around. Kyle was one of the first people I met through Mr. Flex's room, probably in the first week I was on YouTube. And he doesn't have a channel, but he was just doing the work. And he said, he called me up and he's like, it's that bad. He goes, and I'm like, and you don't want to move on to something, he's like, no, he's like, there's still business here. He goes, but it's that bad. He goes, and I don't want one of these stupid X amount per active hour. He goes, I want transparency like you guys have.
Yeah.
And so you guys get loud. If you need me to, like, that's what I'm doing for him right now. And all I do, it's not like I have a database in my head, but I do have a database of good people I can go to and say, who's a friendly in the state of North Carolina, because they write laws, they write legislation. Some of them you guys know is like Mike Harubi, Karen Anderson, who I have on the podcast this week, Kim Kevin, who I have on all the time. They don't do gig app work, but they are traditional independent contractors who know these lobbyists, legislators, lawmakers. And so I just kind of get the word out there, and at the same time I'm building a bigger team, because when he asks, it's like, I want to know that person too, because I want to tell them, hey, here's the story of AB5, here's the story of Pay Up in Seattle, here's the story of New York City, and all these are fails. Yep, and here's the story of Colorado, which is yet to be told. It's not perfect, but it's a hell of a lot closer than any of the others came, and it doesn't involve more money. Just involves being, well, it might to the companies if they've been stealing, but it just involves more money. And then you got the lops of DoorDash lawsuits. I mean, there's a whole nother batch of these. What is it? 90, the one that just happened again, the 97 to, or 2017 to 2019. I told you those dates. DoorDash already admitted that's countrywide. So what they're doing is they have their lobbyists literally trying to work out deals where they've told every one of these states, go F yourself. Every time they came at them for something, they said, go F yourself, get out of my face. We're going to do what we want. Now these same lobbyists are having to go back to the lawmakers and say, we don't want to go down that road that they did and have to pay you $45 million. How's 20? Like there's offers being made under the table, like already, because they already admitted they did it in every state.
Yeah.
I mean, I guess Q1 has been really kind of pushed. Now it's over. Q2 and Q3 earnings calls for DoorDash. Let me predict something very badly. If you guys do invest in the stock market, don't listen to me. This is not my profession. However, I will tell you, if you put money into DoorDash now, by the end of summer, you will lose even more than you thought you would.
Wow.
Fact.
Right.
So,
Yeah,
I mean,
I don't
it's
know.
just,
I don't know if you've noticed. I have actually noticed over the last couple of years, I noticed an increase in order volume in Uber and a decrease in DoorDash. But I've also noticed that the Uber offers start to look more like the DoorDash offers. So it kind of makes me wonder if customers, like those same customers with their same tipping style and everything, are switching out, which I wouldn't be surprised if they do, because the excessive fees and probably the poor driver quality and everything. I've been seeing it happen, but I didn't know the reason for it.
yeah. I mean, well, I can also say that Uber's always had more orders. They've just been way worse.
Not in my area.
Are horrible.
My area's got a little
than
better
DoorDash.
too. But yeah, I'm saying but if I would turn it on, I'll see more Uber Eats offers. I'll have
Really?
more volume, but they're just bad. Well, now they've changed. Some markets have changed. I know some people who say they only did DoorDash, or they only do Uber Eats, and they're like, and I'm doing better. We don't even know that each individual isn't being spotted for, well, you like to work really hard. You take 90% of the offers that come to you, and you're coming from the DoorDash program. We'll take you, and we'll give you all the Uber Eats. And then the other people in the same market are like, I'm not getting nothing.
Yeah, maybe. I've always experienced like less Uber Eats offers, more DoorDash offers, but the DoorDash offers were always lower, and the Uber Eats offers were infrequent but really good. In my experience, the Grubhub offers were always unpredictable. But like I would get like Uber Eats is the one sending me $20 to $40 offers. And I know some of those are because they just were things that weren't getting delivered, so they kept bumping up the pay. But that's my experience with it usually. It's better when it does come in.
Yeah. No, it's true. But I mean, like, one thing about Uber Eats, Kim is a expert platinum aluminum dasher, and she can do whatever she wants. She has the badge and everything.
The
Get out of my way. I don't know. But I mean, she can go do whatever she wants. One thing for me is when I cross 50, I can't leave my zone. If I do, it does that thing where it's like, we're finding you orders back to your zone if I go deliver something out of the zone. But with Uber Eats, I can just let it take me where it takes me for the day.
Yeah.
Here's the thing with Uber Eats, though. Like Uber Eats, we complain all the time about DoorDash's base pay. Uber Eats base pay is worse, and it's proven it's worse. It's actually, I think some areas start at $1.50. There have been times where people have seen cents. There have been times where people have done stacked orders and received zero base pay. So it's Uber Eats is a little tricky, right? Because they don't have zones, they can send you 20 miles, 30 miles, 40. I saw a 40-mile order the other day. So talk about lower base pay, longer miles. I used to be a huge Uber Eats person. I used to do $1,000 on Uber Eats, just Uber Eats. And then it, like, almost overnight, it flipped to switch, and it hasn't been good since.
Yeah, that's got to be market, because I've never seen such low base pay on Uber Eats, or it's rare if I do. And maybe it's because like they've started, and I don't know how this varies by market because I hear so many different stories, but like Uber Eats seems to be pretty quick to compensate for long distance if things aren't moving. Because I'll get like a 20-mile offer, but it will be like paying $50, which, in the grand scheme might make it worth it. But I've never seen like $0 or like $1 bases in my market. I don't think they're usually like $3, $4, $5.
You might not pay attention to it, but start looking at your breakdown. Like start looking at your fare breakdowns, and you're going to be at. I was going to say, some people are surprised when they look at it because they just think, oh, it's $6, oh, it's $8, but then they go back and see the base pay and it's like, how much?
Whenever I check it, it seems to be pretty normal. I don't know. It's usually better than DoorDash. I know that. I was comparing the two for a long time because there was a long time where like every Uber offer was great. There, like every DoorDash offer sucked and every Uber offer was great. So I ran them both just to get the volume from DoorDash, but I would almost always prioritize the Uber offers. And then it slowly changed over time, but I don't think it's gotten that bad where I am in New Hampshire.
So let me say where I am. We're months into the transparency. Uber, the bottom line is Uber doesn't care. That it's gonna be $1.50, $2 for the base pay. But you're going to see all the pay and they can't screw around. Even Uber has to pay you the full amount of the tip if you were to get tip baited. They have to. So why even remove it? They might as well do the same thing as DoorDash and say however they want to treat it, but they can't take it away from the driver. So, but the base pay is always, because it has to be base pay and tip. They have to show them both. So the base pay is always $1.52. But like I was telling you guys with a DoorDash order, like I've seen some really crazy things on that platform. Like I saw a Wild Wings or not Wild Wings, the other one, the crappy fast one, that was going like 2 miles out of my zone. It was paying like $14 or $12 or whatever it was, 14. I don't even remember. And the breakdown was very simple. It said $14 base pay, $0 tip to go $2, 2 miles. Uber never does that here. Uber never, ever, ever does that. They'll still put, even though it's transparency, they'll put $1.50, 0 tip.
Yeah, for me, if Uber Eats has high dollar amount and low mile amount, it's because a Josh or a driver has canceled it like 10 times and you're like the 10th driver, and then you go in there and they're like, oh, you're like the 5th driver to come pick it up. Sorry. And that's how you know never to take an Uber Eats order that high.
Yeah.
Well, it might. So are you saying like if somebody already took it, but it doesn't, but they stole it, so they cancel it, and then it goes back to the restaurant, but they don't actually have the order anymore? Is that what you mean?
Yep. And
okay, so what I do there,
every dash, I keep saying dasher, every driver just gives cancel, and then it keeps bumping it up so high that you're like,
but Uber doesn't. That's that was the kind of point I was making.
Well,
what you're saying is true. It must be about DoorDash, and now I'm seeing it. You've been talking about it for a while, but Uber doesn't do that. It's like Uber doesn't care. They'll put it back in the pool and be like, it's still $1.
No, Uber does do that. That's the whole entire thing. Like if you see an Uber order for like, say like $20 going 2 miles, like I know never to even look at it because I know you're going to go to that restaurant and it's going to be like, you're the 10th person to come for this order. Sorry, we don't have it any longer.
Yeah, can I tell you that you're missing out on money? Because what I do when that happens is if I confirm from the restaurant that it's been picked up, I'll actually call the customer and I'll ask them if they received it. Like if it's a mistake, if they received it, or if it's been stolen. If it's been stolen, I tell them, okay, like your order's been stolen because this is what's been happening. So I call the customer. I don't just cancel it and put it back in the pool. And then, based on what they say, and then I will do a mock delivery and I'll tell them cancel it or call Uber. Cancel it. They'll, tell them what happened. I'll tell them what happened if they ask me, and then I'll do a mock delivery and I'll hit complete and I'll get the payment for that order, and it will go out of the delivery pool and the customer will be informed. So like literally everybody wins. So like don't keep canceling. Just like call the customer or like call support or something, or you could take the pay for the order. But that's what I do. I've been doing that for years.
But if you're marking a fake delivery, can't that be deactivatable?
It's never happened because I always inform them. I'll tell customer service what happened if they call me, and I tell the customer what happened, and I tell them it's because it's been stolen if you haven't received it. So they can tell customer service what I told them, and then if customer service wants to confirm with me, I'll tell them the same story. I've been doing this for like 7 years. I've done this many times. I've never had a negative side effect, and it always, resolves the problem with that order. So, and everybody wins.
But let me just say this, that like, what if there's a person who is just pissed, and I see a lot of these people who's working, they're slammed. He's like, I don't know. And he starts saying, that's been picked up, that somebody keeps whatever. And it maybe really is coming in. That's been picked up. That's been, and then, you know, he goes on a break. Another dude comes up and he's like, yeah, it's right here. If Uber calls during that time, you might be in the situation Kim's talking about.
Yeah.
What situation?
If they were to call and get a manager who's like, it's sitting right here. I don't know what they told you.
Well, if the restaurant told me that it's been picked up, like somebody picked it up and left with it, that's not my fault if they lied to me. Like, and I'll still tell the customer what they told me, and I'll confirm that it's not there. But then it's not my fault at that point. It's all already happened. So I'm gonna take the pay and take it out of the pool and inform the customer so that everybody wins. Obviously not Uber, because then, you know, they paid somebody for that order. But
yeah. I think it's just one of those you never know things. I mean, this one I remember with Aaron. I'm drawing a blank on his Aaron in Arizona, goes up to Oregon in the winters. But he's got a channel that Aaron's Gigs or whatever I think it is. He got deactivated from DoorDash on like the last day of a pay cycle and was owed like $1,300, and he was deactivated for sitting outside of a restaurant in a storm that had closed.
Oh man.
And accepting and saying, and then phoning him in, it's closed, turn it off. And then they deactivated him. And it took him like 2.5 weeks to get paid. Because they deactivated him. They're like, we're looking into this. And he's like, oh, even if you are, pay me.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a law in every state. You get fired, you're allowed to walk in and say, give me my money. I mean, you don't have to wait for a last paycheck. If you get fired or canned, and I know we're not employees, but they can't hold on to your money that you've earned.
No, and DoorDash is way more unreasonable and a lot less reachable. I hear much less. I don't know if you hear differently, but I hear much less about people like having issues being deactivated or having problems with Uber that like they didn't cause or that seem unreasonable. I don't know. I've done so many things, even by accident, that I thought would get me deactivated from Uber. Most of the time, obviously, I'm a good driver and I do like my job and I communicate and deliver the orders and everything. But like things have happened and I've like never been like, I've never even gotten a whack against me. So I don't know what it takes to actually get deactivated from Uber, personally.
Well, to get deactivated from all the apps, it takes nothing. If you could, we know people who haven't even worked that day and been deactivated.
Really? Yeah,
like Marco, Nova Dasher. In fact, I don't know to this day. I don't know if there's anybody. I think somebody claimed it once, but just didn't. Like he's shown us, he's over 30,000 DoorDash deliveries. Around right after 25,000, he got deactivated on a day he didn't even turn the app on.
You're talking about DoorDash though. I'm talking about Uber. Like, do you have any crazy Uber like deactivation Uber stories? Because I haven't heard any.
Yeah, I mean, it's just more. It's not deactivate. I don't know if it. I mean, it should be the same word, but it's just more like you're not on the app anymore. Or maybe even like, I don't know. They all play with things so much. Like maybe you're even on the app and, and it's just never going to send you an order, but you're on it.
Like shadow banning?
Just because they don't want to, just because they don't want to deal with you. Like,
I've never experienced that, so I don't, I've been fine. All the years I've been doing it.
I really think it depends on the market. Denver is a huge convention city, right? We get conventions in here all the time. And I can tell you that some of them that come through, it kind of, it's higher volume, but it kind of keeps the same balance. But we get some, like Tom is in Houston, but when we get groups from Dallas that come in here, it's all Uber Eats. Those people only use Uber Eats. They have it on their phone and you'll see Uber Eats light up for the entire convention. But then it goes back to like a low volume or normal volume or Uber will deactivate. Yeah. I mean, I don't know that any of them won't for next to no reason.
What's dirty apping? I never heard of that.
When your work, correct me if I'm wrong, Kim, but how I know it is when you're stacking on different platforms, working them at the same time.
Yep.
Oh, multi-apping.
You've got DoorDash and
No.
But you're taking 2 orders at once.
From 2 different platforms.
Yeah.
Oh, I've also done that for like 6 or 7 years. I mean, I try to make sure they're going in a similar direction or I can get them done in a reasonable amount of time, but I've never had a negative side effect from that unless I was super late for one. But that's usually on the restaurant. If they take too long to finish an order, and I couldn't plan for that.
Are you I hope I haven't even read this yet. I hope you're not advertising.
I don't think. I think he's being funny.
Damn it, Tim or Chris, what are you doing?
What the heck?
But I do know somebody actually on YouTube who got deactivated from Uber for continuing to be late for deliveries because he was dirty multi-app.
Oh yeah, being chronically late you should always avoid, right? Obviously they don't want that, but you can plan it accordingly. Like you could literally be picking up from two adjacent restaurants and they could be going in the same direction, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no reason not to, because you're doubling your money for doing the same amount of driving. But you don't want to have one going north and one going south, and they're 10 minutes in opposite directions. Don't do that. That's bad business. But if you conduct yourself properly, you can take orders for multiple apps at the same time and get more money for driving.
If anybody knows Bud Soda, we know a person
I
who
feel like
only
Bud Soda
does
and you
this.
would get along so well.
I mean, that's all he does. He almost wants to see how many he can stack on. I got a DoorDash, I got a Grubhub, I got a Rodeo.
Right.
Oh, I can stop by this Tractor Supply. They need me to take a ladder. I'll get that. Yeah. So it makes me start thinking that must be size of market, and maybe they let you get away with more in a size of a market.
Well, they won't let you get away with it if you're super late all the time, as Kim mentioned. But if you're planning strategically and you're not super late, if it doesn't screw up your orders, they don't care. They have no idea that you have a DoorDash and an Uber and a Grubhub in your car. As long as you're getting there within the time frame they want you to get there, they don't. Why would they care? And I'm sure they don't want you to, but they can't do anything about it. Yeah.
So Uber Eats has launched in Australia now too. And one of the taglines in here is, here's how they're, Kim will remember, Tom might, Casey, I'm not sure if you ever saw these, but the ads for Uber Teen were horrific. A mom being like, oh my God, this saved my life. And making it look safe, and it's just a nightmare. But one of the taglines for the second paragraph in this article is this is a quote: "It empowers them to feel more in control of their lives." 13-year-olds. When I was 13, I wasn't allowed inside until it was dark out. And even then, I could just run in and grab a snack and run back outside. I just was like, "Get out of here!" Like, all right, Jesus.
Oh my God.
No, that's a true statement. The question is that a good thing or a bad thing?
But it's a horrible thing. And it's what a way to have a new way of shaming. Oh, you can't afford Uber Eats blah, 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 at school. Like, you know what? That's
no.
It's like how when cell phones started, like only a certain amount had them, or you couldn't have them in school or whatever. But now it's like, oh well, I have Uber Eats. Don't worry, I can buy us lunch. Like, I thought we were trying to get past the global shaming of all this, but
yeah.
Anyway, so Tom, it's time you step in a bit, because California is like this close to unionizing rideshare drivers, because Prop 22 just didn't work out for them.
Right.
Note, everybody. These are the same people who demanded Prop 22. Demanded it. We must have this. It's the only way to save us. We must have it. Now they want to collectively bargain, which was the only thing they weren't allowed to do. So, but oddly, even in the courts, they're this close to being able to unionize.
But see, the problem still exists that nobody can quite figure out how this will work. Okay, because unions. Okay, so let's say you have a union. A lot of people in here have been members of unions before. I was a member of the Painters Union in St. Louis and all that kind of stuff. But ultimately, you are working with a company that you work for, right?
Yeah.
So how are they going to do? Are they going to have? I mean, Uber and Lyft have no interest whatsoever of negotiating together, nor DoorDash, nor any of the others. So you're going to have a different contract with each company.
Well, they do,
Yeah.
oddly, they do still have the Flex Association form. And I know that was to fight AB5 and get Prop 22 on the proposal on the ballot in November of 2020. But to be honest, like they do still have that. They did put $209 million into that. So Amazon Flex, Uber, Lyft, Instacart, they all meet through that. So, I mean, like really, if they need to raise that shit back up, they can. But
I mean, I understand what you're saying, but this really is apples and oranges because you have to have the people who have the authority to negotiate on behalf of the company on what it is that they're collective bargaining for.
right. And who are you collectively bargaining for? Because as we know, most unions make everybody be in it.
Right. But unless you're in a right to work state.
Right. I was just going to say, but California is not. So,
right. So they force everybody into this. How are we going to get them to vote? How do they do it with other companies? Well, you go to the union hall or you go to the company and, and there's someplace at the company where you go to vote.
or you have Nicole Moore, who I've had on that I was talking about, who's a professional protester. And you have her go down with her California United drivers and make it seem like all 15 of them represent all of the rideshare drivers in California.
You still have to get the people to actually vote. Now, do people who only work 6 hours a week get to vote?
Here's the worst thing, Tom, is they already did vote. They voted for Prop 22 and they won it. That's what they wanted. You got what you wanted.
But I'm saying the practicality of unionizing, just because they say we're unionizing the drivers, how?
Yeah.
I mean, you can say they're
I'm interested too.
But physically, how would you ever do this? It doesn't work the way it does in any other. If you're an employee who only works 6 hours, let's say you're in the chemical industry, you only work 6 hours a week at Dow, you're not part of the union.
Oh.
To get a vote, in the union, you have to be a full-time employee. Well, what's a full-time employee when you're talking about gig workers? I mean, so you understand, it's not going to be somebody passes the law and they're unionized and now they have collective bargaining. There's so many questions about how this would ever practically work, how the drivers would vote, that they're happy that they accept the CBA that's been put in front of them. None of this stuff is going to be. You just turn it on and there you go. Now we're a union and now we've got a CBA and now we're all going to work under this and Kim and I could probably sit down for a while and find half a dozen different things that I would, if I was pro-union and in a union, that I would love to see in a CBA that would absolutely kill Kim's job and vice versa.
Yeah.
Because we're both in the same industry, but we're doing different things. I got people in my car, she doesn't. Okay, so
now you're describing AB5.
Now
you work for yourself? You have your own business? You made it in this world? Well, you can't do that anymore.
Yeah, so it's going to get really crazy. So I don't see how they would do this unless they break it into segments. So that would mean you're going to have a separate law for each segment, and then you're going to have to figure out how to move away from a local. What is the name of the unions?
California Scammers and.
Yeah, I'm with Painters Union 540, local 545 out of St. Louis. Okay. Well, how are we going to do that? I drive all over Houston, over Houston. I cover sometimes 300 or 400 miles in a day.
So
Well-
it is Assembly Bill. It's California Assembly Bill. It was introduced Tuesday. Assembly Bill 1340. That we stand for the principles that all work has dignity. We stand for the right of every worker to have a true voice. Well, you already signed away those rights when you voted for Prop 22.
Insert obscene gesture here, which I won't give you, but you get the idea.
So here's a I'm going to say this line. I'm going to see if Tom can tell me what it has part of their state's name in the newspaper title. I'm going to see if he can tell me where this came from. The SEIU said more than 600,000 ride-hail drivers statewide in this state would benefit if the legislation is adopted and signed into law.
Illinois.
Oh no, I meant like what publication that all the time we talk about. It's Cal Matters.
Okay.
But they're just, I mean, first of all, who did you go talk to all the 600,000? Because I don't think you did.
Mm-mm. Not.
You know, they've been after the transportation industry and including gig work for a long time. So, anyway, they wanted that. The only thing that the companies asked for is no striking, no unionization. Okay, we want all these other perks. So they've had it for 5 years. Now they're like, we want those, and we're going to strike and unionize.
Yeah, that's.
I mean,
we had a bunch of drivers who, I could probably find the video for you, but this past Saturday and Sunday did a strike at our big airport here, IH, and it was very interesting that almost all of them were the guys who drive the black SUVs, and well, I won't get into it, but they could all be put into the guys who were leading all of this were all part of a religious ethnic minority. And so what they did was they parked their cars that made it very difficult, but not impossible, for those of us who went to the airport to get in and out of our assigned parking spot, our assigned spot that we go for airport pickups. And then they turned on their alarms. So their alarms blared, 30 or 40 cars, alarms blaring all at the same time, partially indoors. It's an outdoor parking thing. And it was a mess, and it helped no one. Well, it helped those of us who were happy to go get the big rides that these guys often get.
So Tom isn't in again. He's in Houston, but Dallas, Miami, Chicago, and LA are all getting 3,000 Coco the robots by the end of the month. Did you see these?
Robot?
Well, the deliveries.
Yeah.
The little ice coolers, the igloos on wheels.
Oh yeah. Okay.
But all four of those cities are launching. That's a lot. Normally they do these with 100 or 200 of them. They're doing 3,000 in every city. I don't really know what that means. We've talked about it on here. I think that a great place for it is a college campus. Test them there. Nobody wants to run around a campus looking for people anyway. So go to the building, have it open up for them, that kind of thing. But just to be deploying this many into cities. And if we all remember, there were kids chasing these into the street. Because they had these little like flags and they were robots going into the road, and there were kids in LA chasing them into the road.
Yeah, people are going to mess with them a lot.
Oh yeah,
there are actually really funny videos on TikTok. If you ever go down the TikTok rabbit hole, there are really funny videos.
There used to be a channel even, and I think it's still up, but he hasn't put a video up in a couple of years. But he had them all of them. He even knew because they all have names out there.
Yeah.
All the robots, and he'd sit there and harass them. People were taking them out to the woods and going on a hike and leaving them.
Oh,
So, I mean, people were getting mad about this, and to the level of, or they'd throw them into down hills, into the waterways, into those little rivers in LA. You know,
Hey, Steve, just if you don't mind a slight direction change here.
please. Is it
we have-
weird objects left in Ubers?
No, but that's a good story too. We can talk about. The other day, a guy left 4 bottles of wine in my car, but that's a different thing. And the next
Party at
guy,
your house.
the next guy gave me a 1, and Uber took it off because they were like, "He's always you're great. Never mind." So because I didn't know they were back there, and there's 4 bottles of wine rolling around on the back seat, and I didn't know that.
Or you just
Darn.
heard him playing, and you're like, I thought those were mine. And I was drinking.
I didn't hear them. They were sitting in such a way that they were just rolling. Anyway, different story. So we have now and I'll post this, and I know whenever I post something, it comes out 3 times. I don't know why, but I'm going to post this. This is the funniest crime story so far in Texas this year. DoorDash driver shows up. Dad ordered coffee and donuts or something like that. DoorDash driver shows up, and Dad uses the guy who did this apparently uses a lot of services like this. For instance, he puts out his laundry, and people come and they pick up his laundry and they take it away and they bring it back folded and clean, right? DoorDash driver shows up, sets down the coffee and donuts, and steals the laundry. Dirty laundry.
Why?
Because that's something to steal right there.
He probably went to the secondhand store and sold it.
No, he probably thought it was Steve coming to his house to go pick up the laundry.
What was funny is it was a woman who did it. And
You really need to call them. Yeah.
and nobody's, I mean, you have to read the whole story. It's pretty funny, but it's the strangest crime story. The other story I wanted to mention too was this happened in Fort Worth, which is like 5 hours from my house. People always say, "Hey, my cousin lives in Fort Worth." Yeah, well, all right. I'm in Houston, not anywhere close to this. But the guy, I also like to stop at Waffle House for my break. The guy stops at Waffle House. There's a man begging for money outside. The guy says, "Sorry, don't have money to give you, but tell me what you want. I'll go in Waffle House, get whatever you want, and give that to you." And so the guy stabbed the DoorDash driver 10 times.
Whoa.
Yeah, I saw that.
Across, including cutting his face.
He was just trying to help the dude too.
Yeah. Now
Like
the guy,
they weren't even having an interaction. He wasn't even part of his Ubering or whatever. He was just
Right.
like, "Hey man, you need a few bucks," or whatever he was doing. He gets stabbed 10 times and carjacked.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
yeah. So just a reminder, especially at 2-3 o'clock in the morning, safety first. Your best intentions can end up creating issues, and so avoid unnecessary contact with deranged people.
I would even say, yes, in those hours, of course, because you have the bars. But these days, just any hours, and even morning, be really careful if you're out early morning, because you still have weirdos out from the night before.
Yeah. But
So these days, things are so screwed up. Just be extra careful. It doesn't even matter if you're doing rides. Be extra careful doing deliveries. These people know how to watch you leave a restaurant and follow you to wherever you're dropping off food.
Ugh.
I
Freaks
mean,
me out.
happens all the time where there'll be more than one person in the car. You get out of your car to run to the front door to drop off the stuff. They pull up next to your car, get out of their car, get in your car. Bye-bye.
Take
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've seen that before. But so I guess before we get out of here, because we are running up on the time here, if anybody didn't see the articles, if you search Uber on Google and you click news, and so you're just seeing Uber news, the first 4 pages are one story. Items left. They do this every year, but weird items left in an Uber. So whenever that comes out every year, I keep going to like page. None of us go to page 2 or 3 most of the time on Google. Never 3, maybe 2, maybe. But you
Yeah.
usually find what you want on that first page search. But when they have so many of those, I have to go till it ends and see what those stories are. There weren't any this year, but I did happen to catch some of the weird items left, and there were some. This is what was a rather unique year. There were some weird items left in the way that, and the only one I'm going to mention, if any of you guys know any, put them in the chat. I'll just laugh at them. We won't get into each one, but the weirdest one I saw was the urinal. And I thought the whole way they said the story was so weird. They're like, I can't believe a guy left a urinal in the ride share. And I'm thinking to myself, I can't believe the rideshare driver didn't make sure you didn't take it out with you. It's a urinal. Like the rideshare driver's like, oh yeah, let's load that in. Like you deal with it, you take him where he's going, and you're like, oh,
it's not
right, man.
It's a urinal. It's a private urinal.
What does that mean?
Wait, why do you have it in the first place?
Long distance drivers keep. It's a little plastic bottle that.
Oh, a Gatorade bottle.
No, it's more professional than that, but yes, it's the same general idea. And
Jason Thierry has a link to those. They look like the StreamYard duck, and you pee in them.
Right. Yeah.
But I thought this was the way it sounded. It was like a urinal.
No, there was a personal. You can't. I mean, a porcelain urinal like you would find at Wendy's or something is too heavy to put into a car.
That's what I'm picturing. Because it's carrying around an actual urinal.
But somebody leaving 3 taxidermy heads. Again, I got to wonder about the driver. What the fuck, dude? Why are you like? Oh, I forgot to tell that guy to take his 3 heads out.
No, whoops.
Like,
a truck driver left his keys to his truck in my car the other day.
Yeah.
And
they said keys, wallet.
I don't know.
Are the most common.
I don't know which truck driver.
Yeah.
I imagine he's going to have trouble getting his Peterbilt going when.
I hope that whenever people are the ones that do those, I hope they're the no tippers and they're in like conflict for a while going, oh my God, I can't call this guy. I didn't even tip him. But we are out of time. And next week, I really want to do some Instacart. I'll try it because I think we have Kim next week, but we don't have her the week after. But I want to send Kim, and I want to get Kim's take. We haven't talked about Instacart in a while, and I've been having this news on Instacart, and I just want to know if it's true. I'm starting to think, just so you guys all know, that I live in a bad zone. Not that my area is bad. When we used to do breakfast or coffee in Colorado, when I did it with the Drivens, Tony and Lisa, everybody, that was a running joke. I don't live in a bad area. I live in a nice area.
Yeah, how's Argentina doing for you there, Steve?
But like I don't need to be again, like even DoorDash, I don't need to be in this zone. My zone sucks, dude. Like I just haven't played enough. Now that I'm back doing it a little more, I think there's some other zones to be better. I mean, I'll have to go try, and I don't know the roads like the back of my hand of every spot in Denver, but I'd know them well enough to make good decisions. But I really do need to, because I mean, what happens here is horrible. The best offers I get leave my zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's hard to say. It's interesting just because I found more success now that I've been diamond than when I wasn't diamond. This was the first time I've actually been at that level, so it's been an interesting experience, but I do think it's market specific.
I'm not trying to be mean here. I'm just going to say, you guys, I think that because my area does buckle up against old Aurora. So I think that I get a lot of the snap offers in there. I think that's what's happening. And I think that if I go to elsewhere in Denver, there still might be some, but I think that that's where I'll see more tips. Duh.
I think you need to find, first of all, a higher end supermarket. Maybe like we have like higher end supermarkets here that you kind of learn what supermarkets like some of your higher end people are ordering from, and then once you find that, then I think you're going to have more success with it.
Yeah.
Where's that? What area?
For me, I'm in New Jersey.
Jersey. Okay, that makes sense.
Damn it, guys, we're going over. I feel like Kim did that to me on purpose. Did you see the way she like was dragging those words out?
I was not dragging those words out. Bye.
Bye.
Good night, everybody. We'll see you next week.
Good night.